welcome to It Takes Two, and can you believe it? It's not Halloween anymore! Oh, but fear not, we have plenty more up our sleeve. Let's see who's in the green room, shall we? They reached Strictly Nirvana on Saturday. How good were they? Aston and Jeanette! Here's a wave. Their rumba was simply heavenly. Davood and Nadiya join us. Gorgeous. And somewhat disappointingly, he's not dressed as Elphaba anymore, but he's here. Ian Waite. He was so good with me. But now, speaking of dressing up, my first guest made a fabulous joker on Saturday, but it's no laughing matter, darling. It's Craig Revel Horwood.
A complete dance disaster, darling.
Revel Horwood, everyone. Spin in. It's our favourite. It's our favourite. Oh, we've missed you. I tell you, we're 6 weeks in. Have our celebrities reached the standard that you would have hoped for at this point?
There's a lot of surprises, a lot of high markers out there, but also a lot of improvement, which is great, and early on improvement as well. We noticed from week 3, I think, that some people were really developing proper skills, which is just an absolute joy and a delight to watch.
Oh, hurrah! Now, Simon and Karen obviously fell victim to Halloween weekend, but they were joined in the bottom 2 by Molly and AJ. Now, were you surprised?
Yeah, I really was, because she's been doing really, really well. And I was surprised because this was actually quite a good routine for her. You know, she looks amazing, a great costume, and actually she did rather well in the whole thing. And it's really difficult, isn't it? I think, well, certainly from the judging perspective, when you've got someone that is fantastic or you think is really motoring on in the competition and they end up in the bottom 2, like Davood, of course.
Yes.
You know, that was a shocker as well. But obviously, you know, the thing is, you've got to have the audience votes. You know, that's the most important thing.
They've got to be behind you.
Yeah.
And also, sometimes I think it's quite good because everyone says, oh, hang on, you've got to vote. You've got to vote for your favourites. Now, Molly was dancing the cha-cha-cha and then went into the bottom 2. Johnny danced it as well. It does appear that the cha-cha-cha is the dance that is, you know, getting everyone into trouble this year. Why is it such a tricky one?
It's because it's difficult, because there's a straight leg, there's hip action, which is really, really difficult, especially for the men, because they're not used to moving their hips in that way. You know, they're used to moving them to side or forward and back, but never really in circles.
In a circular way.
Or in, with proper hip action.
Thank
so,
you.
That's nice, but it is difficult. It is difficult. And plus, it can look, if you do too much hip action, it'll look too girly on the man. So you've got to be aware of that to make it look butch, but correct. And it is a really tough one because it's fast as well, actually. I mean, if you think of a rumba and then double the tempo of a rumba, that's sort of what you're
expected to do. I know, it's so complicated. Now, Susan also she felt the burn this weekend, I would say. You fanned the flames and gave her a 3, you old meanie. Now, tell me more about this. Kevin was saying that they weren't going for graceful with this foxtrot because of the theme. Can you appreciate how Kevin was trying to marry a dance to a theme?
Yes, I can, if he does that at the beginning of the dance and at the end of the dance. And then maybe 10 seconds, if you like, in between it, you can go a little bit mad and tell story and do something out of character. But it's our job to recognise that particular dance for what it is and to uphold the characteristics of that dance. I appreciate it and I love him for trying to take it a little bit over the edge, but unfortunately for me, it didn't work. I love the routine, I love what he was trying to do, but I have to really mark it on the specific dance that they're meant to be doing. So that's why it was difficult for me. Sometimes it works out well, like in Aston's case, for instance, but you know, I would say continue being brave.
OK, all right, let's talk about Aston now. Why didn't he get a 10? I thought he was brilliant.
Get a 10.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not a judge, obviously.
I thought there was just a little bit too much of the pop and lock stuff. That's the only reason. He is amazing. You know, I would love to give that a 10. I would love to. And, you know, if he gets to the final, maybe if he takes 2 of those little sections out and replaces them with something else, then I might.
Oh, you
consider it.
little tease! He's such a tease. Let's move on to Davood now and the rumba. Now, you gave this a 5, yet you said you could go home and watch them dancing all day.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I thought it was a really lovely, strong routine. It didn't fall into the rumba category for me. There weren't enough basic rumba steps, and that's what we need to see. Even if you had just littered a few more of the basics, as Shirley said, the cucarachas, for instance, which show your leg going out to the side and show that you're actually manoeuvring your hips in the correct way. We never really saw that. We saw a performance, which was wonderful, but as a judge, sadly, I can't just base it on entertainment. That's for the folks at home who can say, well, I really loved it. So,
Or me. Yeah.
I mean, I did love it. And I take it home and watch it again and again and again. But for me, it wasn't a solid rumba.
He needed some more basic.
Yeah.
OK, here's a fact for you. The rumba is the only main Strictly dance that has never scored full marks. Rachel Stevens, Cara Toynton, Chelsea Healy and Jay McGuinness all did pretty well, 39 points.
Yeah.
Could it ever get a 40? Do you think with the celebrity dancing it? Could this be the year?
If they started learning it in week 1 and then get to keep going and doing it for like 10 weeks, yes, probably. It's the hardest.
No chance then.
No, there is a chance. I think Debbie has a chance to get really high scores.
Didn't she do a rumba?
Yeah.
Did she do a rumba, yeah? Yeah,
she's done her
right,
rumba.
OK.
And I mean, if she gets to do it again, maybe that will improve. I think that's a good sign, but she was doing some really lovely, lovely work in that. She was wonderful to watch. I mean, incredible, really.
She really is.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about Flexi McGee. She impressed again. I do believe her exact words were absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And she contained in her dance, is it called a cross swivel hop?
Oh, this is when she did her Charleston,
Yes,
cross-swivel hop. I can demonstrate that, darling.
Could you?
Want to.
Is it?
Demo time!
The floor is all yours.
Yes, bring this
Mr.
on. Now, the difficulty about this dance is that you have to do this with your feet the whole time. The swivel, that's the swivel. The cross element is when the toe crosses in front and behind the foot.
OK.
And what Debbie did was she put a hop in it as well. So she ended up doing that and hopping and swivelling and hopping.
The cross, swivel,
darling,
the cross, swivel, hop. And
that's it. Cross,
is
swivel,
how
hop.
it is done.
Oh, yes.
And in fact, it was Debbie's dance, was it a couple of weeks before, that actually made you take on the spirit of Bruno Tonioli and hurl yourself from your chair, which was joyous.
It was a moment of temporary insanity, darling. It really was. And yes, I did miss the chat. I mean, I was thinking, Bruno, I have worked with this man for 13 years that's annoyed me for 13 years. He stands up and sits down, and stands up and sits down. I mean, I know he's very short and he likes to show off his height, but it was just really funny. I had no clue that was actually going to happen.
Oh, you did.
And I really don't know what possessed me, but yes, I did miss the chair. And I thought I'll go with this because Bruno has actually done that. But the whole thing was a bit of a send-up.
We loved it. We loved it. We want more of it. Please come back and see us soon. We adore you. Craig, Revel, Horwood. Now, Craig has to look away for this next bit, as it would be unfair for him to cast his critical eye over a work in progress. Here's how Debbie and Giovanni, Joe and Katja, and Alexandra and Gorka have been getting on in training.
5, 6, 7.
I think I'm really going to enjoy the tango. Giovanni is really good at it.
1, 2, 3, 4. Tango is a really interesting dance because you have a lot of passion in it, but at the same time you have to do a lot of technique. There's no rise and fall in the tango.
Yeah.
Okay? You have to be sharp and staccato all the time.
Already one of my criticisms is to keep my fingers closed.
Why you open your fingers like this, by the way?
At the moment, I'm a bit like Edward Scissorhands.
Charleston is hard. It's very energetic. There's lots of steps.
5, 6, 7. Craig is going to be looking for this swivel action.
It helps to speak the steps
And kick.
in time to the music.
And kick. The other hand opens up to the side. I'm gonna have to drill this routine in his brain so much. 5 years on, he still will remember it.
It's a very high energy dance. I'm going to need to eat lots of carbs for the next few days, I think.
Hands, tap, 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 tap. That's it, yeah.
This week we are doing the cha-cha-cha, and to be very honest with you, I'm very scared. The speed of it is really quick, and then the technique is quite difficult. Putting the two together, my brain just goes a bit, oh, that was out of time.
It's one of the difficult dances, especially for the girls, because they are wearing heels. It's very fast, and they have to be very precise.
It's a matter of keeping the legs straight when they're meant to be, and bent when they're meant to be. And if you forget, Shirley will say something.
Time to welcome our first couple now. Their angelic rumba wasn't to all the judges' tastes, but to us it was a little slice of heaven. Here's Davood and Nadiya.
As a dance, I loved it, but as a rumba, I didn't. There wasn't enough basic steps.
There was no flow for me from movement to movement. You have a beautiful feeling, but that's not enough for me in this dance.
The overall performance was very, very nice.
Davood and Nadiya are here. Well, I know they loved it. Never mind what the judges say. Well, you got lost in your performance, that character, and you really gave yourself that dance, Davood,
Yeah, I really did. And, I had issues with the rumba early on in the week, and then when we went out and performed, I loved every minute of it. I thought it was a really haunting performance. As a performance, it was one I enjoyed probably, well, up there with some of the best of the others I'd done, which I didn't expect, because I knew how hard the rumba was going to be. I'd been warned by Nadiya how hard it was going to be.
For men,
exactly. Why is it so hard for the men, Nadiya? Why is that?
Because he has to do all the leading, and because it's so exposed, he has to use his body as much as he can, and all the footwork and everything. It's just so many details, and you can see every small mistake, but he didn't do any.
No mistakes. Good boy. That was amazing. And that's the thing. Sometimes people go a bit like that when there's a rumba.
Yeah.
But I think everybody really enjoyed it.
Well, not everybody.
Well, yeah. We'll get on to the judges. They were saying that they wanted more basic, Nadiya. Now, you did the choreography. What did you say?
I did the choreography. So they were talking about cucaracha, and actually, first 4 bars, it was him doing cucaracha. So I don't know why they missed it. Probably because of his...
Yes, so maybe they were looking somewhere else.
So. Yeah. And then it was rumba walks into the telemark, telespin, into the swivels, into the overturn, into the pivots, into the fan.
There's a list, people. There is a list of rumba.
Yeah.
So there we go. Well, good answer, I say. So were you hoping for better scores? I mean, a couple of 7s in there, but getting a 5.
Yeah, that was tough. But I mean, what Craig was saying about, enjoying the performance was lovely as well. But it obviously, to get a 5 after that, it was a bit of a shame. But you know what? It was very fulfilling to do that dance after quite a tough week trying to learn it and knowing how difficult it was. So, everybody has their own opinion on it. But to know that he liked it as a performance and enjoyed it as a performance was good, because we certainly did.
And he did definitely say that he would like to watch you all day. I mean, that's slightly concerning. It was really lovely to see your telly mum, Bonnie Langford, there in the audience. She was really enjoying your performance. She did look quite concerned, a little bit cross, actually, when the judges were giving their critique. Did she go over, like any good mum, and have a stern word with them?
I had to restrain her. Mum was looking after her boy. But no, she's so supportive. And beforehand, she brought me all the stuff that she knows I like, before when she comes to the show, like, like protein bars and stuff and energy drinks, and go look after yourself. And she's brilliant. And it was lovely to have her actually in the audience there. So she loved the performance. So, that makes me really happy.
Yeah, I know. She's like telling mum like a real mum. And you've got so many mums, you're so lucky. Now, onwards and upwards, quite literally, because it's American Smooth and you get to do lifts.
You get to lift.
Which excites us greatly. And for you two, will they be fun? Now they're not illegal.
Yeah, I know. We've done 2 illegal lifts already up to this point, and we get 3 legal lifts. So, and we just want to make them as spectacular as we can.
Yeah.
And, use the opportunity to do something like that and show a kind of different side to our performances. So far, I'm absolutely loving it. But, mix it in there with the dance, making it all work. We're working on it. I think if it works well, it's going to look really great.
You've got some great music. It's Natalie Cole. Listen.
This will be the
I'm getting well into this today. I know. I'll be storming onto the floor. Must warn you, though, that we do have eyes and ears everywhere when you're training. We've picked up some interesting sounds from your training room recently.
Bang, bang. Bum, 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 bum.
I love it. I must tell you something really lovely. Darren Bennett was on. He's one of the kings of the dance floor, and he said that he really loves you too when he was on Choreography Corner, and he feels that you need your breakout dance. Could this American Smooth be the one, do you think?
I really think so, because he's really enjoying this dance.
I am really loving it, more than I had any other from day one. So, you know, I hope I can do it justice. I really do. The choreography is great as well. So.
Exactly. And we're going upwards.
I'm going to make some noise.
Exactly. Make loads of noises. We love it. Good luck, Davood and Nadiya.
Thank you.